Beyond bars, the radical power of second chances. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be defined forever by your worst mistake? To have a single chapter of your life become the entire story people read when they look at you? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of sitting down with Kim Baker, whose groundbreaking work in transformation and resilience has quite literally rewritten the narrative of redemption in America. Kim isn't just researching second chances, she's architecting them brick by stubborn brick in systems designed to forget that human beings exist behind their statistics. Her work has touched thousands of lives directly and influenced policy that affects millions more. In a world obsessed with punishment, Kim dares to ask, what if restoration was our North Star instead? The stories I'm about to share with you aren't just inspiring, they're disruptive. They challenge everything we think we know about who deserves a second chance and what's possible when we actually give one. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a mistake? Maybe you sent an embarrassing email to the wrong person. Maybe you said something hurtful in the heat of an argument. Perhaps you trusted someone you shouldn't have or failed someone who was counting on you. Now imagine that mistake following you everywhere on job applications, housing forms, loan documents for the rest of your life. Imagine it being the first thing strangers learn about you and often the last thing they remember. For millions of Americans, that's not a hypothetical, it's their daily reality. And the cruel irony, we call our system corrections. Yet we've designed it to ensure that certain mistakes can never, ever be corrected. During my conversation with Kim Baker, three profound truths emerged that I haven't been able to shake. First, transformation is possible, no matter your starting point. Second, nobody transforms alone. Community is essential. And third, changing individual lives requires changing systems. Let me introduce you to Josh J. Smith. 5 years in federal prison on drug charges. The kind of story we've heard before, right? Except Josh's story didn't end where most people think it should. After his release, Josh didn't just stay out of trouble. He didn't just get a job. He became the deputy director of the very federal agency that once oversaw his incarceration. Let that sink in for a moment. The same system that once locked him up now takes direction from him. When I asked Kim about Josh's journey, she shared something I'll never forget. His transformation didn't begin the day he walked out of prison. It began the day he decided prison wouldn't be the end of his story. While incarcerated, Josh immersed himself in every educational program available. He built relationships with mentors who saw beyond his case number. And most importantly, he made a commitment that his experience wouldn't just change his life, it would change the system itself. Today, Josh influences federal corrections policy at the highest level. His appointment isn't just a personal victory, it's a seismic shift in how we think about leadership, expertise, and who deserves a seat at the table. It's what Kim calls the full circle of redemption, when those who were once processed by a system return to heal it. But here's what keeps me up at night. For every Josh Smith, how many equally talented, equally transformed individuals never get the chance to show what they're capable of? How many potential leaders, innovators, and healers do we lose because we can't see past a single chapter in their story? This brings me to Marisol Garcia, twice incarcerated in Connecticut prisons, but that's not her identity. It's just part of her journey. While behind bars, Marisol witnessed things no human should have to see. friends suffering from inadequate health care, preventable deaths during COVID outbreaks, the kind of systemic neglect that doesn't make headlines but destroys lives nonetheless. Instead of being crushed by this reality, Marisol was galvanized by it. She volunteered in the prison hospice program, holding the hands of dying women when no one else would. Think about that courage for a moment. To offer comfort in a place designed to withhold it, to create dignity where the system had stripped it away. When she was released, Marisol founded Prison to Public Policy, an organization that amplifies the voices of justice impacted individuals throughout Connecticut. As Kim told me, Marisol didn't just survive the system, she's dismantling it and rebuilding something more humane in its place. Today, Marisol is a respected community leader whose organization has shifted local narratives around reentry and inspired policy conversations centered on dignity rather than punishment. She's living proof that our deepest wounds can become our greatest source of purpose. But transformation isn't just about individual resilience, it's about community, about having people who believe in you when you've forgotten how to believe in yourself. This brings me to Adam Skewers, military veteran, formerly incarcerated, now a peer support supervisor at RHD Allies. After leaving prison, Adam faced the isolation that so many returning citizens experience. This was compounded by mental health challenges stemming from both military trauma and his time behind bars. The statistics would suggest Adam's story was headed toward a predictable end. But then something happened that changed everything. Adam received a letter at his lowest point, a reminder that he wasn't alone. That single act of connection became the spark that ignited not just his own recovery, but his commitment to supporting others on similar journeys. Today, Adam leads peer support teams that guide hundreds towards successful reentry each year. His approach, what Kim Baker described as a velvet glove with brass knuckles underneath, combines deep compassion with unflinching accountability. It's an approach that works precisely because it comes from someone who's walked the path himself. Adam often tells those he mentors, I'm not here to save you. I'm here to remind you that you're worth saving. That distinction makes all the difference. These three stories, Josh, Marisol, and Adam, represent thousands more that remain untold. They challenge us to question our assumptions about who deserves a second chance and what's possible when we actually provide one. But here's the uncomfortable truth: these success stories happened despite our systems, not because of them. For every person who manages to overcome the nearly insurmountable barriers to reentry, countless others are crushed beneath them. As Kim Baker emphasized in our conversation, individual transformation is miraculous, but it shouldn't require a miracle. The reality is that we've built systems that make redemption nearly impossible: housing discrimination, employment barriers, voting restrictions. The list goes on. We release people from prison and then systematically deny them the very things they need to succeed. This isn't just a moral failure, it's a practical one. It's terrible policy. It makes our communities less safe, not more. It wastes human potential on an industrial scale, and it costs us billions in both direct expenses and lost productivity. So, what do we do with this knowledge? How do we move from inspiration to action? First, we need to recognize that transformation is possible for everyone, not just the exceptional few who beat impossible odds, but everyone who's willing to do the work. Your past mistakes don't have to define your future potential. Second, we need to build communities of support that make transformation not just possible, but probable. Peer networks, mentorship programs, educational opportunities, the kinds of connections that remind us we're more than the worst thing we've ever done. And finally, we need to change the systems that turn temporary punishment into permanent exclusion. This means eliminating barriers to housing, employment, and education. It means restoring voting rights. It means investing in reentry services that actually work. As Kim Baker told me, systemic change begins with individual courage, but is sustained by collective action. I want to leave you with this thought. What if redemption wasn't just for the exceptional few? What if it was our default expectation? What if our systems were designed not just to punish mistakes, but to facilitate transformation? Here's my challenge to you: find one concrete way to be part of this change. If you're an employer, create opportunities for people with records. If you're a landlord, rethink your screening policies. If you're a voter, support policies that restore rights rather than permanently removing them. If you're simply a human being who's ever needed a second chance yourself, and that's all of us, extend that same grace to others. Because when we write people off, we don't just lose their potential contribution, we lose a piece of our own humanity. And when we recognize the possibility of transformation in others, we awaken it in ourselves. The question isn't whether people can change. The evidence is overwhelming that they can. The question is whether we're willing to change our systems, our communities, and our hearts to make that transformation possible for everyone. Let's choose to see beyond bars, to recognize that transformation isn't just possible, it's happening every day. And with the right support, it could happen much, much more. Thank you. Thank